What's up, everyone? We meet again. We meet again. We meet again. We meet again. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well today or tonight. All right, so let's get into it. I am here tonight to discuss with you guys the episode of Claws. Tonight's episode of Claws on TNT, Season 4, Episode 9, episode titled Wrath. The episode was intriguing. I always say that word to you guys, but it was intriguing. It was intriguing. I think next week's episode is the last episode of the series, so it is the series finale. And things are wrapping up in a weird way, actually, in a weird, odd way. Odd little way, but all right, let's get into it. Let's get into it. The episode starts where Desna is kind of, reminiscing and, in her planning mode and wondering what is she going to do and how is she going to take steps forth. And, yeah, contemplating on what to do next. And here comes Dean and his new girlfriend and them announcing their pregnancy news to her, which took her off, caught her off guard. But that was a moment where she realized Dean's independence and that he probably can do without her and her being gone or whatever she's plotting to be gone and, whatever that's pretty much where it's looking like, where at that moment where she's like plotting on, leaving and probably leaving him behind with his new life, new girlfriend, and she's pregnant. So I guess at that moment she was feeling like that was some assurance that Dean would be okay without her presence there. And that's what it's looking at. And I could tell she was kind of a little hurt or disturbed behind that, but she made this mess. She made this bed for herself, and now she has to lie in it. Next up, Desna goes back into plan making on her escape / out of the way route. Again, as I said previously, she's looking to escape. She's trying to get out of Palmetto, and she goes back to her girls. Well, Polly, because Jen and Virginia are not on her side at this. Jen and Virginia are not on her side at this moment. So she's just plotting with Polly, and eventually sends Polly to regroup with the girls, with the other two, so she can bring them back, because there's no way that she just has to go by herself. Desna has to go by herself, because if she has to go, they all got to go, because they're going to come after every single one of them. Like, that's obvious. They're going to come after every single one of them, not just Desna. So if she has to go, they all have to go. Okay, moving on to the next. Jen in the AA meeting. She gets out of the hospital. She goes to the AA meeting with Virginia as her support. And at that freaking moment where she's realizing that and coming to grips and power of, her marriage and mishaps and getting her kids back and getting her life back, Bryce freaking sticks up Tony, aka David Jackson. Like, he freaking sticks him up at his truck. At the delivery truck with a gun, holding hostage, forces him to get in the truck, holding him up, again, sticking him up, like threatening him, like, oh, let me talk to you about my wife. What did you have going on with my wife, XYZ? And the whole freaking time, Tony, aka David Jackson, had nothing to do with Bryce's wife. Like, yeah, he was talking to her, getting close to her, but it was only for his own personal gain, to know more about the operation and what's going on in her life and how the operation is affecting her and all that good stuff. But it had nothing to do with him and her personally and an affair and all that. And Bryce, you messed up. Because Bryce ended up freaking going crazy and losing his mind, and with this gun, end up accidentally shooting and killing Tony / David. Sidebar, the way Tony laid down or like fell when he was shot was hilarious and so fake. Like, I was like, what the hell? Like, it was not believable at all the way he fell and just laid down after he got shot. Like, no. First off, I didn't even see the bullet at, like, when he first got shot. I didn't see the bullet anywhere. It went on commercial, came back, and that's when you seen Tony bloody and the bullet somewhere in this area. He definitely was shot, but then it was unbelievable and hilarious. Like, I was like, what the hell? That was so fake, like, but whatever. Okay, next up, Dr. Ken and his desperate tactics. He went back to his ex-girlfriend or ex-fling or whatever, Gretchen. You know, he went back to her because, he's feeling down and out and lonely. He left his girlfriend in New York. Her career is going, and modeling career or whatever she has going on in New York is taking off, and he's in Palmetto doing drug things, and he doesn't want that to, pull her down. So he's feeling lonely, went back to Gretchen. Gretchen didn't want his ass because he was on Polly's jock so hard. He then goes back to Polly. No, she don't want his ass either, even with the damn dog he had, which was hilarious again. I'm like, the man is miserable without that model chick girlfriend, and hopefully he finds his way and gets his happy ending because he deserves it. He deserves it. Somebody better get a happy ending out of this scenario. Somebody better get a happy ending because it is not looking good for either of them. Neither one of them. It's not looking good for either one of them. And I don't know where next episode is going to go, honestly. Outside of the way the season started with Desna shooting Quiet in at a lake or whatever the case may be. We'll see. Okay, next up, Desna, again, as I was saying previously, Desna sent Paulie to regroup with Jen and Virginia to convince them to all leave Palmetto with them, which eventually worked. Meanwhile, the DEA is practically ready to close in on Desna and Uncle Daddy's operations, not knowing that Tony/David is already dead. Hasn't reported to them, already dead, and not looking good. Another situation, another death on their hands. And honestly, that's all Bryce's fault. Bryce just, dude, he should have just asked him more questions to his wife and even Desna about what was going on, because Desna would have told him, this is not it. It's not going on. It's not happening. She knows what's going on now. She knows the truth, and, you just went to Tony on some aggressive gunpoint stuff, not even realizing that what you suspect is all the way off and inaccurate. Just created another mess for you guys. Everyone at that point is scrambling, trying to figure out what to do about the death of this DAA agent, Tony/David Jackson. Quiet Ann ended up making her way back to Uncle Daddy, and as an accomplice with the DEA. I'm sorry. Tongue-tied with the DEA. She, as an accomplice with the DEA, witness protection, whatever the case may be, she makes her way back to Uncle Daddy to see what's up, what are their plans, and where they at, and where their head is at. She's trying to set him up, to take him down. Stuff is about to get real for everyone involved. Because they now have a dead cop on their hands. Even if they didn't kill the DEA, Tony Jackson, somebody, they're all involved around that. They're all involved around that with the drugs, and that man was on duty, and just not looking good for none of them. Then Desna and the crew end up making this plan to set up Uncle Daddy for Tony David's death. And yeah, Desna was on a mission to, fulfill it. She put it out, and Desna, was on her way. Finally, Desna takes, in the midst of that, Desna takes accountability for overdoing it with Jen and Virginia and pushing them over the edge and pushing Virginia to kill her friend Georgia and just pushing Jen to do all the quote-unquote gangster ride-or-die stuff for her that eventually led Jen to losing their kids, losing her and Bryce's kids, the downfall of their marriage, everything. Desna really just did a lot of pushing, a lot of pushing to the people closest to her, and that brought the whole Claws Up team down. The operation is down and out and ready to be taken out at any moment. And again, it's not looking good. And I'm just like, Lord, I would like a happy ending for somebody in this story, but it's just not looking good. And what else can you say? Okay. I respect Desna for pretty much taking the rep for that. And she also said that she's going to be the one to go down. If they get caught, she's going to be the one to go down. She's going to take the rap for all of that, and she's going to let everybody free. Even the killing of Tony/David. When she's the prime suspect because she was his quote-unquote girlfriend. At that point, it's just a matter of putting a plan in effect to set up Uncle Daddy successfully. Desna had to be the one to do that, of course. It was her plan. They also had Bryce as an accomplice with that to know where Uncle Daddy, a.k.a. Clay's, location was. Bryce ended up going back, ended up seeing, Quiet Ann over there. Quiet Ann ended up hearing, about the Tony/David situation slightly. Not knowing exactly what was going on about him. But she heard his name and probably going to go report that back, and she'll realize that DEA is dead, and she'll probably put two and two together, and before you know it, it's going to be more madness on the Claws Up team/Bryce. Like, so much stuff just built up in this episode. Like, oh my God, I'm like, whoa. Okay. So, Desna eventually makes her way to Uncle Daddy, to his spot that Bryce reported. She planted the seeds for framing Uncle Daddy for Tony David's death. And her presence was caught in the midst of it, allowing Uncle Daddy to pull a gun out of her and kind of hold her hostage. Desna let him know about her plan, that she already had called the police and gave them an anonymous tip that he was the one to kill Tony David. And he pistol whooped her in the midst of that. Also being led by his deceased wife in this dead state. Sending Desna and Bryce over the edge. Like, who was he talking to? Like, madness. Okay, he pistol whooped Desna, allowing Desna to then get a hold of Clay's gun that she hid underneath the table. His other gun, and at that point, their guns are facing each other. Mano y mano. At that point. And I knew and felt that somebody else outside of the DEA, Tony David, was going to die in this episode because it just kept building up to something. The suspense was building up. So I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? They ended up gun to gun, again pointed at each other. Clay eventually let his guard down once he pieced together, and once his wife said to him that Bryce helped set him up, and he ended up shooting freaking Bryce. He ended up shooting Bryce in his freaking arm. And that was Desna's moment. She took that moment to shoot Clay dead in the freaking forehead. Took Clay all the way out. Took him all the way out. And that was the end of the story for Clay, a.k.a. Uncle Daddy. What had me so flabbergasted about that is this next part where Clay ended up going to this fairy tale life. His fairy tale happy ending with his wife and his boy toy waiting on him in the afterlife. It was all smoky and happy and white and glittery and shiny and all sorts of stuff. And he made it to him. I don't know if that was hell or heaven, but it was the afterlife with his wife and his boy toy waiting on him. And he was happy about that. And I guess he got to live happily ever after with them, or he will get to live happily ever after with them. So that was the episode. Like I said, the episode was a lot. I kind of give, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give this episode like a 5.5 because it's just not where I want or need it to be, like coming to a series end. Like, I'm supposed to be jumping on edge, like, oh my God, like this is really happening, this is really happening, and I'm not really excited about it actually. I'm hoping I would wish to be excited about the episode ending, and like excited, like flabbergasted on like suspense, like what's gonna happen this season finale, the series finale. But I'm not really because it's like the build up is kind of weak. The build up is kind of weak. There is a build up, but it's been kind of weak on what's gonna happen. I do know. I will say this. I would like to see Roller come back for that series finale. That would be the gag. That would be the gag. That would be the gag. That would have all of us freaking gagged. Have Roller come back, realize that Uncle Daddy is out, done and out, out and gone, and come back to save the day. However, he's going to do that. We shall see what happens next episode. We shall see what happens. I'm anxious to see what's going to happen. I will tune in, of course. So, next week it is, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Again, it's your boy, Ron, a.k.a. Ron the Artist. Peace.